Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Daniel, and I am the house leader at Communities of Belonging. And I recently had the opportunity to go through a certified peer counselor training. It's a really wonderful experience, and a big part of being a certified peer counselor is sharing your story of recovery. So, in an effort to practice my story sharing, I wanted to just take a minute of your time today to share a little bit about my journey and my path to find recovery. I am in recovery from substance use disorder and mental health challenges. I have multiple chronic mental health diagnoses. I have been clean and sober for about 2 years now. When I went into a treatment center, I honestly thought that I was a drug addict and that was my biggest problem. And if I could just stop doing drugs, I would be okay. It turns out that I had every other problem in the world besides being a drug addict. I have had periods in my life where I have been able to successfully stop using drugs, stop drinking for pretty long periods of time. But during those periods of sobriety, that's all I was doing was just being sober and abstaining from using drugs. I didn't do any of the work to address the reasons that I was actually using and abusing in the first place. And that is what made the difference for me this time. A big part of my recovery is depression. I have lived my entire life with undiagnosed, untreated chronic depression. Um, and when I was in treatment, I started taking antidepressants for the first time. And after about 4 weeks of starting those, my life completely turned around. Just to look at things from a scientific point of view for a second, when you suffer from depression, it is a chemical imbalance in your body. You have a lack of dopamine. Dopamine is that feel-good chemical that we have. It's what makes life worth living. We need dopamine on a level of survival, and I have spent my life lacking that dopamine. When you use methamphetamine, well, let me back up just a second. On a really good day, on like the best day of your life, your wedding day, the day of your firstborn child, whatever that looks like for you, you might have about 100 nanograms of dopamine coursing through your body and you're on top of the world. When you use methamphetamine, you have about 1,100 nanograms of dopamine coursing through your body. I am someone who has suffered from a dopamine deficiency my entire life. When I was 19 years old, I took my first hit of crystal meth and I was instantly hooked. I needed that dopamine, and it has come and gone from my life for 40 years, but I have finally been able to get that under control. And once I had an understanding that there were underlying issues that were directly attached to my substance abuse problems and my mental health problems, things really turned around for me. I always thought that I was just kind of, well, to be honest, I thought I was a loser. I thought I was just like really fucked up. But it turns out that there are things that happened in my life that I didn't have any control over. And they're in the past. And the only thing that I can do now is to work to recover from those past traumas. So anyway, to kind of share a little more about my recovery, once I started taking antidepressants, things really turned around for me. It wasn't just antidepressants, it was cognitive behavioral therapy, it was talk therapy, it was finding peers who could support me, immersing myself in a world of recovery, and really surrounding myself with people who are supportive of me and want me to succeed. I had to eliminate all the other people who are not supportive of me. If you have any of those people in your life and you know who they are, it's probably better to just cut ties, and you want to be around people who love you and want you to succeed. So, long story short, I have lived with addiction for 40 years of my life. I have lived my entire life with mental health challenges, and I am now today happier and healthier than I have ever been. And I am so grateful to have found recovery and to have found my calling to help people find their own path to recovery. It really is possible. If I can overcome 40 years, you can do it too. Trust me, anyone can do it. Recovery is possible. I'm really proud of you. Keep going. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.